Yo, what is going on? It is Crazy Rider right here right now, back with chapter 43 of my Invader Zim fanfiction. Just an itty-bitty reminder to anyone who may be now or just recently tuning in that you have got to start the series from chapter 1. This is a chronological fiction story, and you have to start from the beginning. I know it's a lot of videos, but you can do it. It will go by a lot quicker than you think. It's just like listening to an audiobook. Okay? Just go look for it in the playlist section of my channel. Thanks! For the rest of you, sit back, relax, and enjoy it all. Right here, right now. Chapter 43, My Dear. I was out on a hunt with the local wolves. We stalked a doe and her fawn, eyeing the fawn. It was late winter, February to be exact. There was slushy snow on the ground, and the deer had found a patch of grass that they were grazing on. All of a sudden, my wrist started buzzing and beeping loudly, and the deer both looked up in alarm. I growled and hit the button without looking at the watch as the pack and I chased after the animals. "What is it, Zim?" I asked while running. "Liz," Zim's voice said to me, "I need you to come back to the base right away." "Kind of busy right now," I told him in annoyance. "It's very important," he said. "I have a surprise for you." "Can it wait?" I asked while the pack started separating the fawn from her mother. "I would prefer you came back here as soon as possible, Liz." Zim's voice was serious, but excited. "I finish hunt and come straight home." Zim sighed, and I could practically hear him roll his eyes. "Fine, but be quick." "Gotta go, love you." I punched the watch off before we surrounded the fawn and took her down. I enjoyed my meal and headed home. I entered the house to see a note on the couch that read, "Liz, come down to the lab right away. Love, Zim." So I grabbed the elevator and went down to the lab where I found my mate. "Okay, hun, what this all about?" I approached my mate. "Welcome home, Liz." Zim grinned at me from his seat. "I trust your hunt was successful." "Indeed, we killed fawn," I told him. "Ooh, I also got another howl from Rapture territory. They want me to come visit next week." "Oh, that is good," Zim commented. "You do always seem the most contented when you come home from there." Zim stood on his feet. "But as for right now, I have a very special surprise for you, my Liz. Come on out." Zim gestured behind me, and I turned around to see Dib come out of nowhere. "Dib?" I rushed over and gave him a brief hug. "What are you doing here?" Zim brought me down here for you," Dib explained. I looked back at my mate. "For me? What for? I mean, I'm happy to see you and all, but what for?" Zim came over towards me and took my paws in his. "Liz, you know that I love you, and that I would do absolutely anything for you. Well, today I decided to prove that to you." "I not understand." I shook my head in confusion. "I thought you hated Dib. Why is he here?" "Believe me, Liz, this isn't at all easy for me." Zim chuckled grimly and then took a deep breath before continuing. I found a way to give you pups of your own." I smiled. "You did? How?" Zim turned me around so that I was facing Dib, who blushed awkwardly. I still didn't catch on, and looked down at Zim. He crossed his arms and looked up at me very seriously. I looked back up at Dib. His hands were stiffly in his pockets, and I think he was holding his breath. "Wait," I started to figure out what Zim was implying. "Are you saying you want me to—" I took a step back from Dib and looked at Zim with alarm. "With him? Never! I not sleep with anyone but you, Zim." "I told you she wouldn't be up to it," Dib said to Zim. "I not do it, Zim," I grabbed Zim's hands. I only love you and only want to make love with you. But Liz, Zim was looking up at me so innocently, yet still so menacingly. I can't give you pups, but he can. I don't want pups this badly. I knelt in front of my crazy idea-filled mate. Zim, you're enough for me. No, I'm not enough for you anymore. Zim lowered our hands. I want heirs to our empire as much as you want pups to care for. Dibhuman will give us fine children, and I'm willing to allow you two to spend the night together for such. Liz, Dib said down to me, I'm not going to make you do it if you don't want to. I want you to be 100% okay with this, but if I do this for you two, Zim's going to let me go free. I stood back to my feet to face Dib. I'm sorry, Dib, but I not spend night with you. I only belong with Zim, and you belong with Gretchen. Gretchen? Dib repeated. Yes, Gretchen like you. Can you not see that, Dib? I shouted at him with my paws in the air. Can you not see that he loves you? Zim shouted up at me. What? I looked down at my Urkin and then back up at my human. Is that true, Dib? Dib sighed. Yes, it's true, Liz. I do love you. Since when? I asked him. Dib scratched the back of his head and looked at the ceiling. Since longer than I like to admit. Don't you see? Zim said. I'm trying to give you both what you want. Liz wants to have young, and Dibhuman wants to share affection with Liz. Why do you suddenly care about giving Dib what he want? I questioned Zim. Huh? I don't. Zim crossed his arms. I just figured, kill two plorps with one stone. I not do it. I swept my arms in front of my chest. Never. 1 hour later. All right, you two, remember, Zim was saying at the door of our bedroom. Take as much time as you need, and there's a lock on the door so Zgur and I can't come and bother you. Have fun! Zim slammed the door shut and I looked up at Dib as we stood next to the bed. So, he said with his eyes to the side. So, I also said, should we begin? We don't have to start right away, Dib shrugged. He said we can take as much time as we want, and even though I've been wanting to do this for years, I'm willing to go at the speed you're comfortable with. Thanks, Dib. I sat on the edge of the bed, and my companion joined me. I'm really not sure what got into him. He seems to be doing this more for you and me than him and me. Yeah, I really have no idea what his true intentions are here, Dib agreed. I never thought he'd let us do something like this. I never thought I let us do something like this, I said, and Dib laughed a bit. He really let you go for doing this? Yeah, Dib nodded. My dad and Gaz, too. That great, Dib. I forced a smile. What you do when you go free? I don't really know. Dib looked down at my hands. I thought about what I'd do if I finally left that place, but now that I have the opportunity. You know you're not able to save Earth anymore, I told him. Our armies are too powerful. Believe me, Dib rolled his eyes. I gave up on that a while ago. I just want the people I care about to be okay. I had been shaking with nerves for an hour now, but just sitting and talking with Dib has really calmed me down. Dib? Yeah? He met my eyes. I took his hand in mine. I think we can start, but slowly. Dib cracked a smile. Yeah, okay. Do, you want to make the first move, or should I? I tried to think. How did you always picture it? Well, Dib considered. I mostly imagined me kissing you first. Okay, then go ahead, I said. Really? Dib asked. Okay. Dib started leaning in, and I started leaning in as well. Wait, Dib suddenly shot away. I need to make sure this isn't a dream. He pinched his hand. Okay, I don't think this is a dream, but I still need to check with you one last time. Are you absolutely, positively sure you want to do this? I'm okay with it, Dib, I reassured. We here, right? Yeah, Dib nodded. Yeah, we are here. Do you want me to go lock the door? If you want, I said. I don't want you to feel trapped or anything. Dib, just go lock door. I pointed to the door. Okay. Dib quickly jumped towards the door and fumbled with it for about a minute. I got up and went over to help him. His hands were shaking like a wolf's tail. I locked the door, and then slid my fingers between his. He stared down at our paws until they stopped shaking. Then he looked at me, and we stared into each other's eyes. All of a sudden, he pulled me in and kissed me. He held me, as if he was afraid to let me go, as if it was the end of the world. His lips were more certain of what to do than Zim's were the first time, and they were much more desperate. My paws held the black collar of his coat, while his held my shoulders. This whole thing was so different from kissing Zim. It felt good, but I didn't quite feel the spark that I feel with Zim. It seems like Dib could feel it, though, because I felt him smile into the kiss. We kissed, and then we started using our tongues, and it felt amazing. I did still prefer the narrow tongue that could wrap around mine like a snake, but a human tongue was still enjoyable. After a while, I removed my holster and gloves, and then started removing Dib's trench, and they all dropped to the floor. My fingers slid down his arms until they stopped at his wrists. My eyes shot open and I pulled away. I looked down at my old friend's left wrist to see red and purple stripes. Dib? I questioned while staring. What are these? Dib quickly pulled his hand away and covered his wrist with his other hand. It's nothing, Liz. Nothing to worry about. Dib. I gave him a look that said, you can't fool me. Tell me what these are, and what they're doing here. Dib grimaced, and finally breathed through his teeth. Okay. While still holding his wrist, he made his way over to the bed and sat down. I rejoined him at his side as he stared at the ground in front of him in silence. After what seemed like half a moon, he finally spoke. Liz, you have no idea what I've been through. I don't know why I'm still here, even though I've been through absolute hell. Go on, I muttered. All my life, I've known about aliens and Bigfoot and all this other stupid shit, Dib went on. Nobody ever believed me. They all just called me crazy. My whole life I've been nothing but crazy and insane and big-headed. Then you came into my life and you believed me. You never once called me crazy. Then Zim comes along and we finally have the proof we need that aliens exist. And what do? You take his frickin' side. I had to, I squeaked. And the two of you go and take over the frickin' world. Dib continued with more aggression. I spent a year trying to warn people about him and was always dismissed. Do you have any idea what it's like to be the only person to see the truth? I listened like I always listened. And to top it all off with a cherry, you fall for the alien. Dib looked at me. Do you have any idea what it's like to see the person you love kissing your greatest enemy? Dib. I put my paw on his shoulder. I had no idea. I'm sorry. Yeah, Dib said to his hands. Wait. I pulled my hand away and looked at my companion suspiciously. Zim and I never kiss in public. When did you see us kiss? Ooh, busted. Dib's eyes went wide. Right. I Okay. Remember the night we destroyed Tack and her plan? That was the night I moved in with Zim. I nodded. Yeah, I figured. Dib rolled his eyes. Well, I was there. I was across the street and I saw you two kissing. That was our first kiss, I said quietly. You saw our first kiss? Dib sighed. Yep. I gave Dib a big side hug. I'm so sorry, Dib. Don't be. He reached his arm to meet mine. It's not your fault. It is, I responded. I should have seen it. How did Zim see it and I could not? Beats me, Dib shrugged. I reached over and grabbed his wrist again. How did you even do this? You're not allowed sharp items in cells. Well, before the takeover, I used a piece of broken glass, Dib explained to me. After the takeover, they took my glass piece from me, but I still needed to. I used my fingernails. Dib, you idiot! I choked out as I pushed down tears of guilt. We both such idiots. Guess that's why I thought you'd be mine. Dib tried to smile. Just two delusional idiots living in a world that's not meant for us. Juicy. I will see you little darlings for much, much more juice next time. And remember, keep your crazy